Hello and welcome to my thoughts on Game of Thrones Season 8, Episode 5. This video will be full of spoilers and is not scripted. So, if you were looking for my scripted thoughts, you will have to wait until the season's over, when I will for sure be working on a script from the entire season. The season as a whole, and I guess the show as a whole. I haven't done this for the other episodes, because as much as they had moments that upset me, I still was able to just sit back and enjoy Game of Thrones, even with all the problems. But this episode was a bridge too far for me. It broke too much of character development, and I understand what they were going for. I'm fine with Dany becoming the Mad Queen. I'm fine with Jaime destroying his entire character arc if it's fleshed out, if they take the time needed to send those characters down those paths, which they did not do. And so, in my opinion, they have ruined both of those characters. Because it's an interesting idea, right? The idea of Dany is Rhaegar's daughter. She was always going to become like him again. She always had those tendencies of going too far, burning Sam's dad, burning the slavers, things like that. But at the same time, the Daenerys that we know from the series refused to burn Astapor because she didn't want to kill the innocents. She refused to put women and children in danger. And last night, she burned women and children to death with no care in the world at all about it. Because what? We have Varys betrays her, which she somehow just knows. She just knows that Varys and Jon betrayed her, right? Missandei's dead and Jorah's dead. Okay, the North is still backing her, even though she doesn't trust Sansa. And so then, even though Tyrion has given her the city, she sees the Red Keep and goes, no, not today. And burns the whole thing down? Including all the civilians? All the women and children that she was so intent to help and protect before? Because she saw the Red Keep? Like, give me a flashback there, at least. Give me something to tell me that there was something else that pushed her over the edge. Because as it is, all it is her character being shot in the foot. Her character going, I want to protect the common folk. I want to rule the Seven Kingdoms to I will burn everything down. Like, it's such a drastic change in one episode. That even though I understand what they were going for, it's been set up in the books, right? Even though the show's very different from the books, that Dany was probably going to wind up going crazy. But this is not how you do it. You don't just flip a switch and now she's crazy. Give me character development. Give me reasons for her to go mad. Not just Missandei saying Dracarys when she probably should have said Valar Morghulis, but like actual purpose for it. And the same for Jaime. Jaime is my favorite character, so obviously I'm a little bit upset here. But give him a reason to go back, other than just he loves her. Because as it is, I would have been fine if, over the course of this season, he realized that as much as he cares for Brienne, nobody can replace Cersei in his heart. And he goes back to King's Landing to try and save her life. I would have been fine with that. But what did we get? We got, he slept with Brienne, and then went, nah, I gotta go back. Even though she sent somebody to try and kill me, I gotta go back. It's super important that I go back and save her and my child. Sure, okay. Why not, right? I could buy that he cares about her and he cares about the child. But give me moments to show that. And especially, don't have him, even though he's on their side, get captured by his own forces? And then have to work his way through King's Landing when Tyrion sets him free. And admittedly, a pretty good scene for the two of them, except for one big thing I'll get back to. Only to fight Euron? All of Jaime's character development thrown out the window so he can fight Euron? A character he had no investment in? So we sacrificed Jaime's character development to finish Euron's arc? So that Euron could kill the Kingslayer? Why even have them fight? Why? What was the purpose of that? I don't understand why you would do that. Euron he's on the water in his ship and it gets destroyed. And we'll get back to Daenerys burning the entire Iron Fleet down. And the ship gets destroyed and he just swims all the way back to land and then has a sword fight with Jaime. He couldn't have just died on the water to the Dragonfire because he didn't call it this time. Man, I don't get it. And then the big issue for me with Jaime, the big one. How dare you? This man is the Kingslayer. He killed Rhaegar to protect the not Rhaegar, I'm sorry. He killed the Mad King to protect the common people. The innocent people are what he has always cared about. He went to the north to fight death itself to save the common people. That's what he does. He is a man that, despite all of his flaws, still believes in the common people and wants to protect them. He has shown that over and over and over again. And this episode, what does he say? I don't care about the innocents. What? He just told Brienne like 2 episodes, maybe 3 episodes ago, I'm not that person anymore, talking about being with Cersei. And in this episode, he says, we're all that matters. Excuse me? What? Give me an arc to where he stops caring about the common people. Let him see the soldiers of the North doing the terrible tragedies in King's Landing that they're doing, because there's some bad stuff those guys are doing that they really shouldn't be doing, but whatever, sure. Horrors of war, bad things happen, but give me some time with him realizing the common people don't deserve to be saved. Give me an arc for that. Don't just go, nah, I don't care about the common people anymore. Excuse me? It's just, that's not who Jaime is. And yes, Jaime loving Cersei is who Jaime is, right? It makes sense to me that he would go back, but not like this. Doing it like this makes his whole character arc pointless. And it retroactively makes him leaving Brienne even worse, because now we have Brienne crying like a baby, which is not a very Brienne thing to do. She's a very strong woman. To just like, what end? To what end? He left Brienne for what? To go die with Cersei in a crypt? Also, it looked like they could have climbed out. It really did. If you wanted to convince me that it was all pointless, you should not have put a section where it looked like light was coming through at the top of that climb. Because it looks to me like they could have climbed out. It just... And all that alone is not all the issues I have with the show. I do have some positives in this episode. I think most of the cinematography was great. The only part that I did not like cinematography-wise and production-wise was the slowdown with Arya and the horse at the end. Everything else I thought, shot-wise, looked great. They did some really good shots. Well, that, and they reused the shot of Cersei looking out the window with all the common people milling around down there. They reused that shot. But other than that, it was really good production-wise. It's mainly the writing that I have a huge issue with. The acting was really good, too. Nikolaj Coster-Waldau and Peter Dinklage had an amazing scene together, other than that terrible line that undermines all of who Jaime is. Then we have the whole thing of that Dany could have just taken over King's Landing whenever she wanted, apparently. Because I guess, even though we didn't see it, she and her last dragon had been Rhaegal, right? That's the last dragon? Or is it Drogon? It might be Drogon. She and her last dragon had been, I guess, practicing dodging scorpions, because she just weaves through and has no problem. It helps that after the first couple shots, none of the rest of the scorpions fire at her at all. They might as well have been unmanned. What was Cersei's plan again? Cersei Lannister, this great villain that's been set up for the entire show. Like, again, talk about the Night King of being set up for the entire show. Cersei's been set up for the entire show, and they throw her out the window so they can make Dany the villain at the last stretch. We're literally at the end of the race, and you go, whoop, let's subvert those expectations. Just... So she destroys all the scorpions. She blows up the gate because somehow the gold company doesn't hear her on a dragon coming up behind. Blows up the gate and roasts the gold company. And you have this moment where it's like, okay, maybe we shouldn't have our forces charge in there because the city's on fire. Like, not the whole city, but like the opening to the city. We should probably just hold this position. But that's not what they're going to do because Danny had already ordered them to go in when they got the signal and that they would know what it is. I hate it so much when things use language like that. Just tell us what the signal is. It doesn't hurt. We don't need shock value. So they charge in, and there is no fight really because the Lannisters surrender. There's a little bit of a fight at the start, but then they surrender, right? Don't even get me started on how they're still Dothraki and still Unsullied around to be able to fight after episode 3 when they were all wiped out. But sure, okay, half, and then like double half in the preview for the next episode. But the Lannisters all throw down their swords, the bells start ringing, the battle's won, Daenerys now owns King Landing, she can go sit on the Iron Throne, everything's great. And then I guess Missandei was just the most important person in the world because, I mean, at least to Grey Worm she was. I understand Grey Worm. I don't like it, but I understand Grey Worm. But Dany flips out and burns all the civilians and all the soldiers. And of course the Lannisters fight back because they're not just going to lay there and die when Grey Worm's killing them. And it turns into chaos, and Jon can't control it, and nobody can control it, and they should have been retreating because she was still attacking the city. But they just keep going, and she burns her own people as well. And I will remind you that this is the same Daenerys. Well, it's not the same. That's the problem. It's not the same Daenerys. But it's supposed to be the same character that watched the Dothraki go die against the Night King and got so mad at the loss of her people that she flew out to fight. And here she is burning her own people. Yeah, that seems like a thing Dany would do. Sure. I'm not even a huge Dany fan. And I feel like this is a complete betrayal of her character in the way that they did it. We got Clegane Bowl. It was okay. I was still hyped for it, I'll be honest. I can't be too negative on that, because I was still really hyped for it. It did have some problems, like apparently the mountain's tougher to kill than the Night King. But I liked it well enough. I mean, I think that I still would have wished if Sandor had actually been able to kill him, like on screen, instead of it being a big, I don't know how he would have done it since the mountain apparently was super zombie. But it was fine, I guess. I have a lot of problems with the way the choreography was fine, but I have a lot of problems with the idea of that fight, the way they did it, where multiple times Sandor swings and it hits the mountain's bracers and is reflected because his sword's nowhere near strong enough to cut through that metal. But then he can just stab through a steel plate like it's nothing, just for the shock value of he got stabbed and he's still going, you know? And it's just like, man, come on. I thought the callback to Oberyn with the eye thing was really cool, because the mountain's not even really himself anymore. He's just operating on instinct. And he did that before, he'll do it again, you know? I thought that was really cool. But it was just a little odd. And then everything to do with Arya this episode, where she had so many fake out deaths of, oh, she's dead for sure. And then, nope, she's okay. Oh, she's dead for, nope, she's okay. Oh, she's dead, nope. Okay. It's like, man, come on. We don't need a million of these. We could do better than that. We could not have to have a million shock deaths again after episode 3, where they're not actually dead, where you keep cutting to them and, oh, they're gonna die this time. Nope, cut away. They're not dead. They're just fine. Everything, don't worry about it. And it really bothered me, because it just felt like they were going for, is Arya gonna die this time? No. What about this time? But this time, though? And it's like, come on, man. Also, she's the faceless assassin that was able to get through the Whites and the White Walkers to kill the Night King, and she can't get through. I mean, I get it, right? It's a destroyed city, fire's raining from above, everything's chaos, but surely she could have just dipped somewhere and hid out instead of continuing to run. And what was the deal with the horse at the end? Was it Strickland's horse? Was it Sandor's horse? Why was it there, and how did it get through the entire battlefield okay? You're telling me nobody was like, that's my way out, and like jumped on that horse to run off? And now, like, we have the fallout of this episode, right? How's it gonna end? What's gonna happen next? Well, John's gonna have to kill Danny, because we gotta tie that loose end up. He's probably gonna die in the process, and then who sits on the Iron Throne? Gendry? Nah, because with Danny dead, Gendry's claim to the throne is gone. Bran? Who's left? Just, man, I'm fine with this being the outcome, but not like this. You could have had Dany just kill all of the Lannister soldiers that surrendered to show that she was losing it. And then when Jon was like, Dany, they surrendered, then she could be like, huh? And like, just like visibly, I almost completely tripped over my words, visibly trying to rein herself back. And then somebody take a shot at her dragon again, and it send her forward again another step. And over the course of the episode, her just continuing to get worse and worse and worse until she torches the whole thing. But instead, we just have her flip the switch. I was already worried when I heard that Emilia Clarke had spent like 3 hours walking around after she read the script, trying to come to terms with it. But man, this is atrocious to Dany's character, atrocious to Jaime's character. What even is the point of Euron Greyjoy? What even was his point at the end of the day? I guess we'll find out next week. Until next time, though, I've been Trey. This has been the Full Spectrum. Remember to always enjoy the full spectrum. Game of Thrones. Stuff.